Hello, my name's Lonness Valenna, and we're here at the Candy House, the transgender house for women, and that I help me and Candace helped start. And I'm known as the fairy godmother, and I help a lot of girls around the Sound area and the Seattle area. And with me is some of the girls that I've helped throughout the time. We have Jasmine,
Hello.
Leanne,
Hi.
and Abby.
Hi, y'all.
And we're here to discuss transgender economic stability and some of the problems we have all had in such of these things. Now, this problem has been quite annoying in the past few days, at least for me, especially because more and more I'm seeing it, the more this our economic stability is falling apart. And it's not just me, it's with a lot of the other girls I work with, and especially with the homeless trans I work with. So we're going to get into a little bit of discussion and just talk about some of this stuff. For me, I just started roller derby, and then I just found out that the cost of it is $75 a month just to do this. It's like, how do you afford this? Because for me, I was working for a time, and then I come here to start transition up here in Seattle. And even though I have a wonderful, huge background of skills, I could not find anything for going on 3 years, to the point where I had to go do commissions for making stuff and everything just to keep ends meet. Now, we're going to discuss about some of the jobs we have all had, in a sense.
Or their lack of.
Or their lack of. You want to start, Jasmine?
Alright. Let's see. Some of the jobs that I had, the most prominent one has been call center work for Xerox. It was actually there that I first outed myself in Lexington, Kentucky. And actually things went moderately smoothly there. Only due to housing situations and a break-in at one of my apartments, thus leading to a former friend, giving me the boot, did I have to move. And then, due to high stress on the job whenever I got it here in Washington, that ended up leading to the biggest reason why I had left. There were others, but it wasn't working out for me, and it didn't really match with my personality because I was selling things this time instead of just providing information.
Did you have any trouble getting jobs or looking for jobs when you came here, like getting into interviews?
Considering that I had just focused really on Xerox, not especially. I mean, I didn't, I was applying at a few different places afterwards, but it's just none of them really panned out. I mean, I do have a friend to thank for helping me get on disability, but I managed to get on disability, and
we'll get to that in a few moments, in a later part of this. Leanne, you had a job at Macy's at a time. Can you tell me a little bit about that and how being trans actually affected that?
So I got a job at Macy's late 2012, and I immediately discovered that it's not a friendly transgender place because, certain things like, for example, I wasn't allowed to use the women's restroom like the other people were allowed to, including Terry Bennett, who is transgender, but she is more passable than me. She passes. In other words, she can use the female restroom, but I wasn't allowed to. And I also was denied my legal name, even though I applied to the job with my like a feminine legal name, at least at the time. I changed it to Leanne. And but my supervisor just refused to call me by my legal name. Instead, tried to round it up to the closest male name. That just sounds like it. It's just stuff like that. Just yeah, and that stuff kind of like just drove me crazy, and I couldn't keep working there.
How accepting was the employees, or at least your supervisors? Did they try to do anything to try to accommodate you?
No. My coworkers were actually very nice. I knew a few who were actually very supportive when they like found out that I was transgender. They were actually like very supportive, and they just like started addressing me as female because they didn't know that, because our supervisor kept using male names and male pronouns in front of everyone. But once they knew that, they just like ignore her. And I don't want to mention my supervisor's name, but
No names mentioned.
yeah. But
And then you just mentioned the person a little bit ago.
Terry, she wanted to mind. She was living in a house called the transgender house.
Yeah, that was the first one I helped start.
Yeah, Amy's outhouse. It's a place where everyone is out.
Well, it was.
Was.
Yeah, that's a whole different story. But she's a part of that house, or at least was a part of the house, just like we were a part of the house. And anyways, yeah, and can keep working there.
Well, Abby, now I know you have been putting in job applications left and right for as long as I've known you, which has been about 3 years since I helped rescue you. How has that been? Callbacks or anything like that, or interviews?
If I can like attend or put things online, I get interviews without very much effort. I mean, I do get I need a little bit of effort to call back and stuff, but in general, I don't need to put that much effort to get to the interview process. But I've gotten into the interview several times, several different locations, and the people who were just like, I'm looking for the manager of this place, and the person will go like, the manager is not here. Just covers their tag saying the manager is not here right now. You might want to come in at a slightly later time. I'm like, okay, when will that time be? Person is just like, probably 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, then I'll come back in exactly 2 weeks. I do come back in exactly 2 weeks, and there's a different employee working there, and they're just like, this person is the manager, and it's the same exact name that was on the name tag.
That's lovely.
So yeah. Then other times I've been told I'm not good enough for places. Well, I didn't think I was good enough to begin with, but might as well.
At least you were trying.
Yeah, the skills I can get there would be awesome.
What about volunteer work?
Oh geez, oh wow, all of the volunteer work. I've volunteered at the Pokemon community, the Pokemon company in Bellevue. I didn't actually volunteer with them, but I volunteered with their organization. I've also volunteered at Gay City. I volunteered at Everfree Northwest, the My Little Pony convention around here. I've also volunteered at SakuraCon. So far now, 2 years in a row. Going to be in just our next April. Going to be my third year in a row.
PSKS too.
I volunteered at PSKS. I volunteered at the Elizabeth Gregory House. I have volunteered. I already said Gay City.
So you have been very active. You haven't been just sitting like a lump on a log.
Yeah, I've been completely busy as flip.
Now I'm going to ask each of you the question on how is your economic stability for before you started transitioning to coming here and then to what it is now. As for myself, I started transitioning at age 16. That's when I started presenting full time. I was born intersex, and I just was raised as a girl until 7, and then forced into an operation for normalization, which botched horribly, and then was forced into malehood because it was cheaper. And then I was basically abandoned at a young age because of that, age 12. And I've been on my own ever since, tried to transition, couldn't because I was considered property of the state and experimental, such and such, because they want to see what the heck I was. And I started doing model work, but I was also kind of living homeless at the time, so I did a lot of thieving and things. So I'm not too proud of that, but eventually modeling became my job, and then which was during Renaissance fairs and everything, I would do that. At 16, when I was actually considered a person legally, I started working at Walmart. I worked my way all the way up to assistant manager in 7 years, and then was fired. More like laid off. And I also did private security for a time, and I had a pretty decent income, and I was doing it as a female. And, I have all this stuff, including manager experience, but when I came up here to Seattle, because this is the only place that really has significant not only rules and regulations that protect transgenders, but they're also enforced here, unlike in other places that even though they have these set state and federal laws, they're not really enforced. So my economic standing has went high, and then when I got here I couldn't find a job for anything. I tried for 2 years, and eventually I've been going to the University of Washington, and they doing little experiments on me to try to figure out what I am, and they pay me a little bit for that. And then I do art projects such as foam smithing and everything, making props for LARPs and things of the sort, and so money trickles in with how much stuff I put in, but it's not enough to upkeep a place, trust me. If it haven't been for private donations from people wanting to help out with the fairy godmother work I do, I would be flat broke. I'd probably still be on the street. Not to mention if it wasn't for Amy, who picked me up, and then me and her started Amy's Outhouse, which was the first trans house we started. As for myself, that's basically what it is to here when I started this house, because just one house wasn't enough. Anyways, Jasmine, the question basically, how was your economic situation before you transitioned to when you transitioned to here?
Okay. Well, before I transitioned, I was actually living with my ex-wife in Lexington, Kentucky and everything. She was aware of the fact that I wanted to transition, which I'm going to keep things fairly on topic here. But things were fairly stable, especially once I got started working at at Xerox. Then from there, I went ahead and life situations were more turbulent than my job situation as I transitioned, because I managed to get my schedule fairly balanced, and then I moved out here, only had my SSI. I managed to get the job back with Xerox and everything, and due to life situations and everything that I've mentioned previously, I went ahead and gave up the job, started pulling back in my SSI, and was recently approved for disability, which has actually helped to solidify things and make it to where I at least can get an apartment now with the amount that I'll be getting in every month.
Leanne, now I know that you came from another country, which was Kuwait, and you had some difficulties. especially because of some of the rules there when it comes to transgenders. But can you explain some of the stuff?
Basically being transgender or LGBT in all of its variations, and regardless of what you identify as long as it's not in what is considered accepted in society, then you are considered a criminal, of course. And so I couldn't transition over there, so I had to leave and come to a place where I can transition, which is, in my case, the States, since that's the only other place I could legally stay at. And because my family was, I guess, raised in that society to not support transgender people, they couldn't even support their own child. I mean, my dad did send money and everything, but I never actually had a secure place to actually go home because of my, I guess, homeless status, of having to keep jumping between places and just try to.
I tried, my dear, I tried.
I mean, even the jobs, they were minimum wage, and as you know, that's not enough to pay for rent in this area. So, yeah, it's not easy.
No. Now, you was working over there at the little coffee house along with Abby.
Yeah,
It was more like volunteering.
yeah.
Did you have the economics, your economic stability in that aspect was very hindering on the edge? Well, was it, how difficult is it to keep getting by every day?
But yeah, I wanted to do different food banks on a regular basis because our food stamps weren't enough sometimes.
So over in Kuwait, it's easy to get a job usually?
It's in the Constitution.
So they basically assign you a job while
Yeah.
you're there?
If you're Kuwaiti and you ask for a job, you get a job.
Well, shoot, U.S. can learn some from that. It was the same way in Ireland, actually.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Abby. Now, I know you've been through a lot, too. I mean, when you was living in Lakewood with your parents. How was things before your transition, and then around when I picked you up?
At what
and then,
time?
And then how are things now?
Did you pick you up?
Well, when you started actually trying to support yourself and be yourself.
Oh. Well, before transition, I was in college. Using the GI Bill to pay for college, having a little bit of extra money to do whatever I want with. And everything was mildly okay. It was the constant trying to lie to everyone to protect everyone else's, I guess, interests.
Because of military family.
The military family status thing
And
with me being trans, it made it extremely hard to actually live with all that.
especially because not even the programs even supported for LGBT, at least not at the time, and still they're, when it comes to trans, they're very thin.
Well, I was doing just fine with college and everything, getting by with B's and C's. I ended up stressing too much because of the trans thing with me having to lie to protect people, that I eventually dropped out of college because I just could not go to school anymore. I just could not wake up and move out of the house anymore. Too much stress with all that. You don't remember all this. It's just slightly different story later on. And I eventually needed to transition at that point. Started researching everything, and as soon as I started researching things, I found friends and people that were trans in the community. At some point, I started the transition, came out to my mom. She was mad, but she at least was understanding of it. Not accepting of it, but understanding of it. After I started my transition and several months on HRT, I came out to my dad. And my dad pretty much tried to kick me out of the house. Even though my mom succeeded and I was able to stay home, with the fact that my own or parts of my family tried to disown me and remove me from the family altogether, I did not feel safe. I did not feel like I belonged there. So I ended up actually leaving and pretty much being homeless, which is when I moved into Amy's house.
You were the second girl there?
Yeah, I was the second girl there. And from there, I was pretty much dirt broke poor, walking everywhere. I ended up losing 112 pounds without as much walking and not really having money or anything for food. Didn't know about the food banks until way later.
We tried to do everything we could though, but my funds were just as low as everyone else.
Yep. And my food stamps, when I did get them, was primarily used for water while I'm walking to keep myself hydrated. Because I've literally walked from time to time, and I actually did pass out in the middle of the sidewalk because just dehydrated too much with all the walking that I've done.
And that was mainly walking for what?
That was mostly walking for job interviews, walking for dropping off resumes, going to the library to print resumes out, going to different areas I haven't been to yet and explore and figure out if I can get a job in that area.
Well, how's your situation now?
Abysmal. Abysmal, for a better word.
Well, at least you're moving into here now, so.
I'm moving back in with family that I care about and that loves me. I mean, I'm still in the same situation I was earlier, still broke, still jobless, still volunteering at places, still not going anywhere, but at least now...
But I see you trying.
Oh yeah, I'm trying as much as I could. I mean, I finally have access to internet, which means I'm going to be doing it a little bit more frequently, or job hunting more frequent in this area. And since this is a new area, I've never been in the Renton area, because I can't walk this far south from the University District.
Now, Leanne, I know that this is actually your last night here in the States because of so many problems economically that you're having to go back to Kuwait temporarily.
Yep. I think it might be better than being homeless.
Even with all the illegality and all of the criminal actions going to be taken.
Yep, even with all that.
We really worry about you, dear.
I know, I worry about myself. But I think it'll be okay.
Do you remember?
So what's your plan when you go over there?
What's my plan to get through the airport, or what's my plan when I get actually to the airport?
Actually, through the airport and when
when
you get back to your family.
I'll answer the other one first because it's easier.
Okay.
So if I do actually get into the country and everything, my plan is, of course, to just take some time to just rest, talk to immediate family, brothers, sisters. Haven't seen them in years, and 2 years and a half, and afterwards, just try to get, I guess, back on track. Maybe just since it's easier to get a job over there, I'll probably just get a job and try to get some money and then get out. Come over here, hopefully do surgery, SRS, and get a place and start my life here. And ask my brothers and sisters if they ever want to see me. I'm gonna be here.
Well, you know you always have a place here with us.
As for the other question, how am I gonna get through the airport? I've heard so many different advices. Most of them were tie your hair back, put it in a ponytail, don't shave for a few days so that you have some facial hair, wear very masculine clothing, and bind. And I said no to all of that. I am not going to go wearing a dress, but I'm not necessarily going to go wearing very masculine clothing and not shaving and all that stuff.
So basically androgynous.
So basically androgynous. So, And if they ask, um, if they ask the right questions, I'm gonna answer truthfully. They do ask from transgenders, something like that. I'm gonna say yes. Not ashamed of it, and I'm tired of lying. Even though it could possibly
Well, you are very brave for doing that, yeah.
not brave. It's just options are very limited right now. Either this or being homeless and going to shelters. I don't think the shelters are very like don't have nice people towards transgender people.
Unfortunately, I've been hearing the same from a lot of the people from some of the shelters. In fact, we had recently one girl came to me and said that there's really no support for trans and the homeless because most all the meetings are all geared to people that have jobs or in the evening, and shelter check-ins are a little bit earlier.
I'm not asking for support if I go to homeless shelters. I'm just asking to not get attacked by someone.
Yeah, unfortunately, that has happened a lot
I just want someone to.
within our shelters.
I just want the people to mind their own business and not jump and attack just because I'm not like them or something like that. So.
Well, what are some things that you would like to see change? What are some things that could help you and not put you in such situations as economic depravity?
Honestly, if more jobs were hiring, higher wages, and also lower income housing, not necessarily just low income, but just the amount of rent just in the area drop drastically to where a person who makes whatever the minimum wage would happen to be, just they can go ahead and pay their rent, get food, get whatever they need, and have a little bit extra at the end of the month.
Well, what's something you think would have helped you a lot during your transition if it was around?
Maybe maybe working on the rules of discrimination, making sure that they're more, I don't know what the right word is, more observed, and make sure that the companies are not being
Higher penalties?
higher penalties and more just like they should pay attention to this more, and they should really do that so that the companies, the bigger companies, can't attack and discriminate against transgender people. I think that could probably be very helpful.
What about you, Abby?
I was just gonna say the word training.
Training?
Training.
For what?
So that they know what trans people are, and
Teaching.
teach them, because most of the places I came across pretty much just see us as what, cross-dressing freaks or people who take gayness too far or something like that, I guess.
Or
They just need to
deceivers.
put the penalties. Like Lena said, penalties should be higher, and that way the companies, whether they are open-minded or not open-minded, they could just be scared and not discriminate. Say, oh hey, discrimination is now actually like a crime.
It is a crime.
No. I mean, it should be like higher, like more monetized, and just like they should pay attention to it because they discriminated against me. They got away with it.
I think we should actually have in place a type of stipend to try to help transgenders in the fact of through their transitioning. Actually, in Ireland, when someone transitions, they go through a transitional phase where they actually get a different marker on their license, not M, not F. And during this phase, the government helps them and pays for certain things and getting them into the next phase as quick as possible so they can get back to a normal and efficient life
That makes
in
sense.
which they're working towards economic improvement, not just for themselves but for their families, which in turn helps the country. And I think if something like that would be in place here, not only it would help this house and other trans houses that are hidden around that are trying to take in these people and trying to raise them up, and set them on a path so they can not only support the house but support themselves. And eventually these houses are like launch pads, not crash pads. We don't want them to just come here and then they're stuck. We want them to come here and then rise up until they can go out and go help others, and possibly even seed other places with these houses that help us. Because that's the thing, I noticed the population of trans people is getting larger and larger. A lot more people are coming out now because it's perfectly okay. At least I find it is up here in the Seattle-Tacoma area, because they're actually enforcing a lot of the discriminations here. Unfortunately, the businesses, unless you have the tech skills or the college skills, which a lot of us can't afford, they don't even want to look at you. So we have a lot of people that just get kicked out of their families, like in Texas and Louisiana and all them other horrible places like Arizona, Mississippi, or in this case West Virginia. And they all look for some place to go to where they could be accepted. And when they look on the internet for searches, Seattle keeps popping up as one of the best places. And so they all come up here, which is a good thing. It's just that we just don't have the financial resources pouring into these places that help these people. I mean, we have Ingersoll, which one is the longest running trans meetings, but that's just there just to go and talk about things. It doesn't solve the problem. It's just there as a social outlet. While GAS in Tacoma, the transgender, also known as the Gender Alliance of the South Sound, we actually have programs such as Name Aid, where we pay for name changes. We have scholarship funds that we help trans people go into college. And at a time, we actually had a thing where we would help people with their rents. But now the funding has went a little bit further down. We had to cut that. And it saddens me that a lot of our brothers and sisters right now don't have the economic stability to not only transition to their next self, their true self, but just to stay afloat and off the street. And this kind of brings me to one of my final things here that really kind of ekes me that I've been seeing up here, and that is that a lot of people are saying, well, oh, you don't have a job in this and that, but you're trans? Well, congratulations. You're a prime candidate for sex work. So a lot of people are saying that, how can you be poor? You can go do prostitution. And I just don't find that's kind of right.
No, it is disgusting.
I mean, I work with a lot of trans kids as well. And I don't want them to think that this is the only path, this is all they have to look forward to. I mean, some of these children that I work with, they have such bright minds, and they think on both sides of the spectrum, and like their artwork, their ability to build things, it's just phenomenal. These kids have such a bright future. These are going to be your leaders one day. And it pains me to think that the only option for them is sex work. I don't think we're going to move to a society that's like that. And that's just my own thing. I worry about that. Now, if you don't mind, I'll ask you three girls the same question here. What do you think about people telling you that sex work is practically going to be the only job you can get?
First off, I know that sex work doesn't necessarily just include prostitution. There's porn movies and such like that, but that doesn't necessarily make it a better option either way. But I do know that it shouldn't be the only option. Much like every career, there should be or much like with anybody, there should be multiple options available, limited only by the person's own skill set and their drive to accomplish. I mean, some people, they don't have that drive. They want just the easy money so that they can accomplish everything. That's all well and good. Some people only want to go into it only just to get the money for any surgeries that they might want to pursue. For them, I say more power to you. Just don't force it on anyone. I'm a street scrub. I came from West Virginia and didn't really have much support from anyone for most of my life. And even still, even though I'm getting disability and SSI, I'm still doing fairly decent. And if a person can control their voice well enough, call center works perfectly fine. It's actually a fairly decent amount of money because of the fact that I know, again, I keep throwing out the name Xerox. That's because they do have a 100 on the HRC, Human Rights Campaign Foundation Corporate Equality Index, which is the highest rating a person or any company can get. And they are very open. They're willing to hire. It's just, if you don't want to be considered male while you're on the phone, if you're not a male, it's really a thing of vocal control, making sure that you sound the part that you're displaying, and working with that then to do your best to have the highest quality that you can for whoever your client is.
It's kind of going off the subject a bit.
Well, just trying to show that as, one of the numerous options.
Now, what about you, dear? I'm sure it kind of crossed your mind a few times about such, but what do you think of people actually saying that that's one, if not the only, path for us for income is sex work?
Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of truth to it. It's the way the economy is, and the way how transgender people keep either getting fired when they come out, or not even getting hired from other places because of their transgender status. So, unfortunately, from the looks of it, like going to sex work does definitely sound the better option. It's a demeaning one, I think, and also a risky one. One of the reasons why I'm personally scared of it is because I personally even thought about that. That is a way of earning a living. It's a horrible way of earning a living because you're selling your body, which is also, I believe, illegal. But I'm also worried more about, I guess, being attacked by someone or being raped or something. That could very, very well happen in that kind of world. And if not that, then I could possibly catch a disease from someone or something like that. It's a very terrifying option, but from the statistics and everything, it actually does look like one of the only few options that transgender people have. You guys are just being homeless and not having any money for anything.
So, if I may real quick, it's effectively because it appears to be, for you at least, it's appearing to be the viable and only real option due to the fact of how society currently views trans people.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. If the society actually grows up and changes the way transgender people are viewed, and maybe see transgender people viewed as maybe equally to cis people, maybe then transgender people would actually have a chance at having a normal life, and prostitution would be an option for them as much as it is an option for cis people. It wouldn't be related to the transgender status. It would just be an option that some people would choose because of wanting more money or another reason. But yeah, it wouldn't be one of the only reasons society were to change.
Thank you.
Abby, what about you? I know that.
I know so much about this already.
I know you do, unfortunately.
Okay, so right off the bat, I'm part of a transgender support group online.
Mm-hmm.
Not online, but on the Kick miss and message thing for most phones. So I help out from time to time. I'm an admin, whatever, normal stuff. We have tons of random guys jumping on the chat saying, "Hey," I'm like, "Oh, hey, ladies," and they just start posting pictures of their penises online, saying, "Hey, y'all interested in this?" And I'm like, "Why do y'all feel like posting that? We're a support group, not a sex group. Leave now. Banned. Hammer." And from time to time, I just personally get people chatting with me saying, "Oh, hey, so can we start seeing pictures?" I'm like, "Okay, well, sure. Here you go. Here's a picture of a video game I like." They're like, "No, we want pictures of you." All right, fine then. You spell it terribly. Well, here's a U. I mean, it's like one of the last letters of the alphabet, but here you go. And other times they're just like, no, we want your cock. And I'm like, I have a rooster in Montana I took a picture of, so here you go. Here's my rooster.
That rooster is now very famous.
That rooster is famous on my friends in Facebook, no joke.
So your cock's getting famous.
Yes. But yeah, I swear. I swear, that's what society is. They see trans people and they immediately think, "Oh, hey, sex.
Yeah.
That's what they are after. That's what they want." I'm like, no, I don't like sex. I'm pretty much asexual. If anything, I'm demisexual. But yeah, I swear, that's what society looks at us. They say sex, and as soon as we say no, we're not into that, they just scoff at us like we're breaking laws or something, and just leave us alone. And then they start throwing slanders about us, and I'm like, what? Why?
So it's more the masculine culture
Kind of, not really.
that is
but
fueling the problem.
no, it's just, I guess, random horny guys. I mean, trolling horny guys are fun. No joke. I love doing this, but I have no interest in that. And as soon as the people start seeing it, I have no interest.
Really?
They leave me alone, but it comes at a cost of being slandered online, which, fine. Well, don't care. It's like, just really not a problem for me. My internet name is completely different than my real name, so nobody's gonna figure out who I am.
Except for now.
My real name is Abby McMillan, right?
Yes.
My internet name is Ruby Montana or Flugelschlag.
And you're going to have to edit those out.
I don't care. I'm pretty sure Lonness is just gonna share this on YouTube, right?
Yeah,
Not YouTube.
those people who are
Facebook.
listen to this. So those people who are actually looking for sex and stuff like that, they're not gonna watch this video. They're gonna maybe click on this video, watch the first 5 seconds, and say they're taking too long to take off their clothes. I'm gonna jump to the next video.
Accurate.
It's true.
Accurate.
You know it's true.
Some people will scan through it just to hear names, though, and that way, if they get a first and last name, that also makes a person a target. So, as I said, might want to edit the name.
Don't
So-
care.
Well,
Don't care.
well, see, I want to get into this a bit because at the last Ingersoll meeting, we actually had someone get up into my face asking, "Oh, you run a transgender house. Do you have spaces open?" I was like, "Well, currently we're kind of full." "Well, if you did, would you accept a sex worker in your house?" And I told him, "No, I wouldn't, because I have trans children that come here and they come play with the foam swords and they play on the video games and everything. They come here to be themselves." And it's like, well, why are you discriminating against sex workers? And I'm like, I'm not discriminating against them. It's just that it's illegal, and if you guys get busted for doing that, not only do we have, what's that? Not in danger of a minor. What is that? Delinquency of a minor But not to mention the police can come here and legally confiscate everything, including this house. So, in order to keep a safe spot for all my girls, I make sure that that is not in the house. It's not the fact that I'm against it. I mean, I go out and I do nude photos sometimes for the Art Institute of Seattle, but that's about as far as I go. As for sex work, I don't even know. And because of those laws in place, and even if the laws were released and prostitution was legal, I still don't think that's the kind of environment I want for my girls. I want this to be a nurturing family environment. Wouldn't you agree that that's a better environment than having some random people come by at all times paying for sex for people?
Well, we are kind of a family, but a normal, traditional, all-female family. We're all friends, we're all best friends, we all know each other's strengths, weaknesses, enjoyments, hatreds,
Except for me.
what to poke at, what not to poke at, if we're going to insult each other.
Well, like how you always call my wife the dad of the house.
Yeah, I call your wife the dad of the house. I insult this one all the time. Your face is it now. But then if we add someone else into it, we're a child-safe house. I understand the blocking of somebody who would just randomly bring random people in here just to have sex with them.
Well, that's different than most sex work is actually more along the porn or porn videos or internet porn type stuff, really, as opposed to the prostitution portion.
Yeah, true.
I mean, it's still classified under the sex work.
I mean, I guess it also kind of depends on what they actually do. Because if they just go out there and, like, do porn videos, okay, fine then. In my opinion, that's not bad. Nobody's going to really track them down unless the person is, like, world famous or something.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, if somebody comes in and asks, like, oh, hey, you're that one person inside that porn video, then, yeah, they're just going to out themselves in a tremendous amount of embarrassment. Oh, well. I don't know. If they're just into doing videos, I'm fine with that. If somebody is actually into, hey, come into my house and have sex with us, or me, or somebody, I don't know.
Or this goat.
Or this goat.
Goat Simulator, live action.
Victor the goat. I don't care. If somebody does something with something like that, then I'm all like, no. Unum Claw's down the road from there.
There's a whole joke behind that one. Look it up.
So then, what you'd say then might be more advisable to do a background check first to see what portion of the sex work they're in.
Yes.
But still, I hope you appreciate the fact that I keep this house free of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for now, this is what we do here. We sit and have discussions sometimes. Any closing words or closing sayings you would like to say out there?
Not really. Find safety and comfort in the twilight of the world and live free and happy.
Yeah, just stay safe, be yourself, and do not work at a place that's not gonna let you be yourself.
Praise Lord Helix.
And Cthulhu.
And Cthulhu.
And Lord Tima.
You Helix heathen.
I do follow Lord Helix.
I don't get that reference though.
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
I'll tell you later.
Why don't you just show her later?
You're such a gamer.
I am a gamer. Yeah, I may be homeless and everything, but I'm still a gamer.
For me, it's just always been to try to make the world a better place than what it was for which I came in, because I wasn't meant to be here.
Laughing and there's gonna be credits. No? Okay. Make long credits. I like long credits.
We are not the Oprah Winfrey show.
We do not have 50. We don't need 50 names of the same person.
For the director and co-director and producers.
We don't need to be sitting there
Just
going
we
like,
can have repeated names.
We don't need to sit there and go like, Lonness, look under your chair. Jasmine, look under your chair. Everyone, look under your chair. Free Simbas.
You forgot to introduce Simba though.
And you get an inferno, and you get an inferno, and you get an
crap,
inferno.
50 damage of
Everybody gets an
fire.
inferno.
Sorry,
Or-
that was
And you get a
alarm.
hex, and you get a hex, and you get a hex, and everybody gets a hex.
I don't even know what those mean. Or no.
That was from our last LARP. It was a
Okay.
It's a joke. Everybody was hexed, and damage could not be healed by magical means.
By the way, this is Simba. This is our 24-year-old cat, slowly working his way up to that world record of 27.
You tell him, Simba.
He has no teeth, no claws. He's a German show cat. My wife's follower, practically. I think that's why he hasn't croaked yet, because she hasn't. Anyways, it's been lovely chatting with you, and we hope to do more videos like this with some of the other girls I help out with. And Leanne, we wish you the best of luck, and we hope you come back safely to us.
I hopefully will.
Yeah, I want to do more videos with you. Heck, I want to stream video games with you.
If you come back, you join in our LARP.
No.
You can be the
I
pretty
did
princess
LARP.
that everybody like
I
tries
did
to.
LARP it before, I didn't like it.
That wasn't LARPing.
It messed up my clothes.
That
I
was-
got everything dirty.
That wasn't like our LARP.
Our LARP is actually full story.
But it will get my clothes dirty.
No.
Okay, good.
Not unless you actually get yourself knocked down in the dirt, and even still, if you get
If you
killed-
trip.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
Okay.
bye bye everyone.
Later,
See
y'all.
ya.